Welcome to episode 415 of the official Gamestitch Podcast. I'm Ryan Walton, and as always, I'm joined by Dan Reamer.
Much better intro than last week.
Well, sometimes you're on and sometimes you're not, you know?
Yeah, I get it. I do.
Before everyone complains, I do have a new microphone. I'll probably have to get it dialed in just right.
Yeah.
So till then, you can suck it. Happy holidays.
Everybody's in a really good mood today, as you can tell. Well,
I'm not in a bad mood. I just know someone's going to be like, no, I think the other one was better.
Maybe it was better.
Maybe it was better. So for those that don't know, which I guess is everyone, I've been using the same mic since episode 0.
It's true. You have.
Everyone except for me has a better mic and had upgraded previously, and I just had stayed with old reliable.
Yeah. And now you have a better mic than us.
Yeah. I was using a $50 Snowball for the last...
supposedly.
I don't even think it's better. I think it's just like a newer model.
I think it's like yeah, I do too.
Yeah, you guys are using the Yeti. I have the Yeti X. It has like onboard monitoring, and I think it's pretty much identical except for that.
I believe you to be right. Just a design change.
But either way, for me, going from the Snowball to this, huge upgrade. Feel pretty good about it, but I know that someone out there in listener land is going to be like, nah, the other one was better.
Yeah. They're probably right. And they could be right. Maybe the other one did sound better.
Maybe, but guess what? This is the one I'm using from now on.
I understand.
So if it sounds worse, you'll get used to it. And then when I upgrade in 7 more years, you'll be like, the other one was better.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Should just go back to the first one you used.
Yeah, the 17-year-old one.
Yeah.
Now, in Blue, who makes these, in their defense, they still make the Snowball, and it looks unchanged.
Yeah, they haven't changed them at all.
And I didn't scrap it. I have it.
So you can reuse it after you get all those complaints.
Yeah, I'm going to shadow box it and just put it on the wall. Just a
are
glowing orb in there,
you?
yeah.
Why would you do that?
Well, when we open up the Gamestitch Museum...
Oh, this is news to me.
You want some
Sorry.
artifacts.
Sorry. Yeah, we can turn that over to the Rochester Museum of Play. That they can hang that in their gaming museum.
Yeah, when they give us a wing over there.
We'll want in their video game Hall of Fame. Yeah, we can hang that up in there.
We'll want some artifact to put on. Like, we'll print out some show notes. Maybe your phone, my iPad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gerald's broken headphones that he used to use.
Yeah.
Producer Gerald in the house. He used to use some lovely purple headphones that I liked, but he broke them.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't say anything.
I feel
you just
like he
punched
was
the
going to
mic.
say something, and then he did.
He just punched it and then backed away. Still, stop leaning forward if you're not going to talk. You're pissing me off because I can't tell if you're talking or not.
He went like...
Yeah, I can't tell if he's talking or not. Look at this new water bottle I got. This is going to play good on audio, but you see this?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It has a straw and it has a built-in filter, but you have to suck on it like a bottle as a grown-ass man. It seemed better before I got it.
Ryan's Binky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is very bottle. It's taking me back to my childhood roots.
I'm sure it is.
Where it all began.
I'm sure it is. You're regressing to a baby man.
Yeah, for those that don't care, I had soy milk as a child. So throw that a fun fact. They'll put that in the museum on one of the plaques.
You really did?
Yeah, I was allergic to breast milk.
Are you still?
I don't know. We could do some research, I guess. Like cow milk doesn't sit well with me, so one could only assume that I would be.
That was a good joke for a Sunday morning. I like that. I needed
a good
that.
joke for any time. Even like a Monday afternoon, that would play. Hopefully, because that's when most people will be listening. Since no one can listen on a Sunday.
That's true. They can't. So it's a few days after Christmas.
Yep. Hope everybody had a good holiday. Another holiday on the way. Producer Gerald's here.
Mm-hmm.
He can talk, but for some reason has chosen not to this morning.
Good morning.
There we go.
Nice.
There we go. You'll be mic'd up you'll be talking for most of this episode, though, so you're just pacing yourself. I get it.
Doesn't want to use up all that lustrous voice before he's got to speak his part.
Yeah. Maybe he treats life like it has a word count.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you don't want to use them all up too early.
Yeah. You could just, change the letter color to white.
Ooh, that's what you got to do when you double space. There's just a line of Q's across there. Dan knows all the tricks.
Well, that's right. I was using that trick years ago. I was using that trick on a word processor before computers were even a thing.
It's like, man, it's one page, but it says 12,000 words. Yeah, I was really efficient.
Did my thing, man.
Yeah, that's an old school trick.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like kids today don't get away with stuff like that.
I kind of think so too. But
it's a go-to move for a professor or a teacher to look for.
Good times.
I had early internet too, and so you could just search for something back then and use it.
Yep.
Whereas now you can't.
Yeah, that's
because that's the first thing they check.
Yep.
But back then, my teachers were all 7,000 years old and did not have internet, and we got that early dial-up. So I was just plagiarizing like crazy. I did some real pieces of literary accomplishment back then in middle school. So real proud of that.
Yeah, the best is the stories you hear about people who plagiarize like a doctor's essay from back then or something, and they end up getting like a D on it.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's like, fucking really? This is a fucking published doctor, and he got a D? Is that what you're telling me, you stupid fucking teacher? Really? I think you don't understand what your job actually is.
Well, I think, grading papers is weird anyways if it's written.
No, I agree. Like
100%.
If
I just think what you wrote's a piece of shit, even if it's well done.
Right, I give you an F.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And if you have ever wondered why Dan or myself are not teachers,
well,
we just cleared that up for you too.
Yeah, I think we gave it away. I think that we gave some excellent reasons as to why we've chosen not to take that career path, actually.
That job is one of the jobs that I would least want to do under any circumstances.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think teachers make enough, and I definitely don't want to do that job.
Not at all.
So, to be clear, it's not that I think it's not super important and great. I think it would be one of the worst jobs for me possible.
I think it is a job I could not do properly.
Right. Gerald could be a teacher. He's patient.
I'll tell you the biggest reason I couldn't be a teacher is because I would want to teach your child to critically think and survive in the world. So that automatically takes me off the table.
Yeah, you're like, we're going to finger paint today. You're like, no, we're actually going to figure out how to make fire.
Right.
We're going on a field trip outside until we burn the school down.
We're not going to go over Pythagoras' theorem today. We're going to teach you how to balance your checkbook. Okay?
And then we're going to start by telling you what a checkbook is.
That would be more my way because I've never used the Pythagoras theorem once in my life, except for to pass the tests in math. But
I assume that's the only time most people will use that.
But I have used my checkbook a lot.
You don't even have to balance that anymore, though.
Math.
You can just check your balance now. Kids don't even know how to balance.
Yes, but I do know how to balance my checkbook because I was around at a time before you could just check your balance.
Do you balance still, or do you just check your balance?
I balance because when I pay my bills all at once, all at one time, because my wife only gets paid, my wife gets paid once a month. So on that day is when all the bills get paid. So what I do is I balance at the point that I'm paying the bills, so that I know what the total is that I have left in the banking account after the bills are paid.
Right.
And that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, I just check. I'm a 3 or 4 times a day balance checker.
I do. I check the balance quite often as well.
Even if I don't leave the house, if I don't go anywhere today, I'll check my balance 3 or 4 times.
I want to make sure that nothing funky is happening.
Yeah, no shenanigans, right? Just a general idea of how much money I should have, and nothing should have changed.
I get it. It should still be the same. If it's not, why?
Yep. Gerald, do you keep your money in coffee cans in the backyard? Are you a believer in the
No,
institution?
I have banks. I keep my money in.
Oh. Okay, banks.
Yes, banks.
Plural?
Multiple. Okay.
Plural banks.
Yeah. Some Cayman Island stuff or just like multiple around the area? Okay.
Bank of America, USA.
What?
Oh, you just like the America banks. I get it. USA, U.S. Bank. Why do I keep saying USA? U.S. Bank and Bank of America.
Why more than one bank?
It's hard to get into. It'll take a long.
You can't disclose that
story.
I got it.
It would bore
Next
people.
question, please.
In case a law's listening, I get it.
Yeah, pass.
It would bore people.
Pass. I'd like to answer the next question that's unrelated to my financial situation, please. Next question. My holiday was fine. Thank you.
I thought it would just be an easy answer. Like, oh, just because we had this account and then we opened another one over here. But nope. A little more involved than that, apparently.
Those are the only two financial institutions that I had ever had were U.S. Bank and Bank of America. Those were my first and second bank. But I now have an account at a credit union, so I guess I also have two accounts.
I have 3 accounts at the same place.
Yeah, I have 2 at the same place, and then I have 1 at another place. But for what sounds like less shady reasons than Gerald has going on. Because I could explain mine very quickly. I'm not going to because it doesn't matter, but mine's not nearly as complicated sounding. So, yeah. That's where...
Or do they like to call it legal?
Yeah. Yeah, mine's on the up and up.
Mine's legal.
I could disclose it too. No, that's what I would say if it was illegal too, though.
Right. I mean...
I wouldn't say it was illegal for sure on here. If that's where... Because that's where you deposit all your cash from whatever sales or whatever. I get it. You know? If one was to be selling something, you know? That's where they would...
It's Bank of America.
Is that your main, Bank of America? Yeah, that's my main also. They kind of suck.
Yeah, we use USA for the house and stuff like that for mortgage when we plan on buying a house.
Yeah, the Bank of America kind of sucks. I've had them for a very long time.
Oh, well, I have different banks for loans and stuff, too. Is that what you're talking about?
I have it because of my insurance is through there, my house and car insurance, and I also have a checking account through them that's I'm going to use for my house when I buy a house.
Oh, okay.
Because I get
Gotcha.
My loan will be cheaper because it'll be a VA loan.
It's not as shady as one might
But
have
then
thought.
in Bank of America, I have 3. My wife me and her had one together. I have 2 separate, and then she has one separate.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, now we're getting into the shadiness. We're hiding the money. You got to move the money around. I get it.
Well, the one's the joint, the one's for when I sell stuff, and the one was an older one from back in the day.
What was your one's under the fucking giant man dick or whatever your alias was?
My dick hurts.
Yeah, my dick hurts. That's
no, they're all under my name.
Can I see some ID, Mr. Hertz?
Even your wife's?
No, me and her share one, and then she's got a separate one.
Yeah. Oh, but you said they were all under your name,
mine
so I'm assuming not your wife's one that she has just for her.
That's a
we
joint.
have one joint. She has one, then I have 2 extra.
Yeah.
Why do you feel the need? Now, I want to really drill down into your financial situation on this show that goes out to strangers. Why do you feel the need to have multiple accounts?
Well, we have the joint one, and then we...
So I understand the joint one. We take that one off the table.
She has a separate. I have a separate. As for our Christmas, our personal, we buy whatever we want to buy. So that's her.
Okay, so is that just so to keep the arguing down, the person doesn't see what you're spending out of your personal money? Okay, I like that. Now, what's this magical third one?
My selling and rebuying stuff.
So you're treating that like if the government's listening, not a business, but similar to a business.
Yeah, that's my business where I buy and sell Legos or my collectible toys.
Don't say business. Don't say business, then you got to pay taxes.
That's where I keep that account for.
So you don't want to pull from account 1 or 2 to fund that, so everything comes from that account internally. Because I always think it's weird when people have multiple accounts because it's all the same amount of money that belongs to the same person.
Right. That's
like you don't have more money. It's just
But see, the
spread
money I
out.
make for
Right,
the
like, we
collecting
have-
aspect, I know, okay, if I have X amount of dollars and that's how much I have to spend on this, I don't have to worry about pulling from the Christmas fund or or dual checking.
Now, if you buy Legos, let's say you want some Legos and there's not enough money in the resale account, does that money come from your bullshit money?
No.
You just don't buy it
Correct.
until you have the money? Ooh, I don't like those limitations. They're probably smart.
they are smart, which is why you don't like them.
I don't care
But
for them at all.
I'm fine. I really don't have to worry about not buying. I have plenty.
My
I have
wife and
plenty of in
myself
there.
are our own limitations.
Yeah. What'd you say, Dan?
My wife and myself are each other's limitations
Oh.
because we have full access to all 3 accounts.
I don't really do limitations.
I understand.
Yeah. It's not they're probably the correct way to do it,
It is. Yeah, it is.
but it's probably not. But I hear what you're saying. It's probably not the right way to do it, but it's
No,
It's
it
nice.
definitely is. It definitely is.
It's nice. I could just buy whatever dumb thing.
Yeah.
Like your Stadia purchase would have been fine.
My Stadia purchase was still fine.
But did you have to explain it?
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
See,
yes, to the point of, what is this? You know,
yeah.
when it came, I was like, ooh, my Stadia. She's like, what that? I said, oh, I bought a game. And I bought a game for $60 and I got this $130 set for free.
I like you went right into sales. Let me tell you what that is and what a great deal it was and how lucky I was to be able to get that.
And she was like, oh,
So-
what do you do with it? And I said, well, I plug this into my TV and I use this and I can play games. She goes, so you don't need a
And-
console? I'm like, no. She goes, I understand how that works. I said, you don't need to. It's going to be up in my room. Okay.
And this device is also, we could just use it anywhere in the house when we're not playing games on it. So it was a no-brainer, really.
And I actually did. Actually, on Wednesday, I got out of work early, and she still had to work. So I pulled it down and played on the 4K TV downstairs. And then I forgot to change the settings on the fucking Stadia, so it didn't look any better anyway. But it was a bigger TV anyway. So she's like, oh, you can just move that? I'm like, yeah, I can take it anywhere.
Are you using it wired or wireless? Did we already talk about this?
Using what? I'm using it wireless.
Okay.
You're talking about hooking up to Wi-Fi?
Yeah, for the Chromecast.
Yeah, Chromecast is wireless.
I have mine plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it makes any difference. I didn't try it.
I haven't had a single problem on Wi-Fi.
Okay. I think there's an issue with my Wi-Fi.
You do?
So before we get this is going to get better or worse before it gets better. This is our Game of the Year awards, and we'll get to that. But let me bring you in some infrastructure talk real quick. When I hooked the PS5 up, I couldn't even play online with anybody on wireless.
Really?
And I have a small home and a mesh system and plenty fast enough internet. And
Your router?
I have the Google Wi-Fi. Shouldn't be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it just kept booting me out, but I switched to wired, and it's not even hiccuped. I mean, it's been the smoothest. Because PlayStation 5 doesn't throttle you the same way that PS4 did, so I'm getting like a heavy flow
Right.
of internet to the vessel now. And so,
How you enjoying that PS5?
I like it okay. I mean, I think maybe the idea of having it is more impactful than like having it. Like knowing that I have one, if something comes out I have to play, I can.
Mm-hmm.
But, for the most part, I mean, you have a couple games that are really are PS5 games. Most everything else is taking advantage of, multi-platform. It's, I've been playing Sackboy on it, which I will give a quick shout out. Sackboy is incredible. It is super good and so well done for a non-Little Big Planet Sackboy game.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing through it with friend of the show, Marshall 205, and we have probably laughed harder at that than any game we've played in maybe ever. It is a silly, good, funny time. It is Very Nintendo in a
Really?
very good way. Yes, it's super good. They just added the online multiplayer. It was couch co-op, but you can play with up to 4 people in any combination. So if you've got people around that you think you might want to play with, it's very, very good.
So is that party games or is that a platformer?
It's a platformer.
Okay.
But it's silly. You can like smack each other and pick each other up, and like one of us will get to run in our mouth, and the other person will grab them and throw them off the side. Which means then you have to play it again because we're trying to do the perfect runs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really neat. I'm a really big fan of it. I started playing Bug Snacks. That's weird.
That looks weird.
Yeah, that game's weird. It's a puzzle game, which I didn't realize.
I thought it was like a platformer type thing.
It sort of is, but at its heart, it's a puzzle platformer. At its heart, it's a puzzle game.
Not for me.
I did get the platinum in Astro's Playroom. That game, super good. Super smart that it comes on the consoles.
Would you essentially call that a tech demo?
No, that is a game.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've played Astrobot Rescue Mission, that is a game.
Fair enough.
But its purpose is to show off what the controller and system can do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a game. It is also full of nostalgia in the best way possible.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, that game is. There are so many nods and winks and straight up look at this in that game that you could probably play it 5 and 6 times and still notice new things.
Mm-hmm.
It is every inch of every level is just jam packed full of like nostalgia from the PlayStation world. It's really, really good. It's like I said, it's smart to come on the system because it does show you what is possible with that controller.
I think it's pretty telling that you've got a lot more to say about the games than the system itself.
Yeah, the controller is everything everyone says it is. I just don't want to boil it down anymore. And I don't think I've played any, like Astrobot and Little Big Planet are very stylized. They both feel like Nintendo games.
Mm-hmm.
So
you haven't played anything that truly is next gen on it.
Right. Yeah, I haven't jumped into the Souls yet to get my teeth kicked in. I did pick up Miles Morales yesterday. I haven't started playing it yet, but again, we're looking at a cross-platform game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. I mean, if you can afford one and you want one, I don't see a reason not to get one if you can find one. But I also don't see a reason not getting one right now. I don't see why that would be a problem either.
Yeah.
Because all of the stuff I'm talking about is not going away. It's still going to be there. And there's nothing that's been so mind-blowing other than, everyone's like, you can't understand the controller until you hold it. I think there might be maybe not a little, there may be a lot of hype with the controller, but it really is pretty magical.
Okay.
But you're going to have that. I mean, I got mine way after everybody got theirs at launch, and it was still a magical moment when you first feel what it can do. So
right,
I don't
regardless
think that
of what
goes
you
away.
knew about it, it was still an amazing experience to hold it in your hand.
So there's a brief moment when I first kind of turned it on and it does its thing. I'm like, oh, that was maybe not, it's neat, but maybe not as mind-blowing as I thought. Like people might have been a little overhyped with the controller.
Mm-hmm.
But then you use it in something like Astro's Playroom, you're like, this thing is nuts. So it came like rushing back. But yeah, I mean, I'll talk more about the PS5 and other stuff next week. But yeah, it's good.
Good.
I would like to get my hands on a Series X so that I could also tell you that it's good too. But
I've heard good things about both systems.
Yeah, I think it's enormous, and the controller is good. So I'll just echo all of the internet.
I'm honestly not sure which way I want to go on when I finally do get one of those systems.
Well, there's only one that you can blow your vape into and have it shoot out the top.
Understand.
So keep that in mind when making your choice.
I will. I'll be sure to.
There's only one that allows that kind of behavior.
Because that's definitely on my list of things that it has to do.
Yeah, I put can I vape directly in? Can I shotgun it? Is on every list of anything that I make. I think that's really the best thing about video games right now is I don't think there's the wrong way to go.
Right.
Like to me, it's viable right now to buy a Switch for the very first time. Like right now, you can still buy a Switch and that not be the wrong choice. You could still buy a PS4 and an Xbox One if you haven't played one.
Yep.
And it'd be the right choice. And I think you could play the PS5 or the Series X or S and be the right choice. I think you could buy Luna or Stadia and it'd be the right choice. I don't think there is a bad way right now to play video games.
I agree. I think there's a ton of options and all of them are good.
Now, I'll tell you what's starting to be a little complicated is trying to figure out where I'm supposed to play what. Like having a cross-reference, is this on Stadia Pro? Is this part of the Luna subscription? Is it part of Game Pass? Or if I'm buying it, am I buying it for PlayStation? Does it run okay over here? Does it not run okay over here? Like, right. I'm starting to have like a little bit of a Excel spreadsheet to keep up with how I should be playing things.
I'll tell you what I'm running into is, not running into, I will run into it when the time comes. Because right now I'm still gunning through Cyberpunk on the Stadia. Runs fabulously. I haven't had a single. I take that back. I had one minor bug issue that I ran into where my guns wouldn't fire. I fast traveled and it took care of it. So that's really the only bug I've run into, and I've been playing for 15 hours now. So I'm pretty happy with the performance, how that's been performing on Stadia, which I had heard was the best way to go. Update on my Genius. I got a full refund from GameStop for my copy of Cyberpunk 2077 on the PS4. So now I look even smarter for getting that Stadia deal than I did.
Yeah, I'm super happy that you have the Stadia now too.
And it feels good to have been that smart, to have like predicted the future in a certain sense. It kind of feels good.
Yeah. See, it was a great deal.
Right.
The only thing is I wasn't excited about playing Cyberpunk personally. Mm-hmm. It was a fantastic deal for anyone who wanted to play Cyberpunk, and very smart of Google and Stadia
to do it.
I will come out and say that my assumption would be that Stadia is struggling more than any other platform right now. And that's with no insight into their financials, but I would guess Stadia probably houses the least amount of players.
I would guess that probably.
And I would say Luna is probably very close to that as well.
And the difference is Luna's still in early access, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm running into. Like right now, I've still got Valhalla on the PS4. I actually did step into that, I think, once this week.
You
but
played
my problem
that yesterday.
Is, what's that?
You were playing that 2 days ago.
No, I had it on to chat with you guys when you never got back to me.
You weren't playing. And I wasn't an asshole. Phones are down here. And
I know.
Dan said that like I was an asshole on here. For those that don't know, the phones are down in this area due to the bombing in Nashville. And Dan had texted a friend of the show, Marshall 205, and myself to jump in our party because PlayStation won't just let anyone join. And we didn't get them.
No, so. I guess I should have sent you. I didn't think about that. I probably should have sent you guys a message on PS4.
We'd have got you in there on that. Yep.
Yeah. But I didn't. I wasn't brokenhearted by it. I had assumed that it was some kind of problem with phones because I know sometimes group texts don't go through.
Yeah. Well, it's a problem with all phones that are on AT&T down here, or
right now. But
anything similar.
So I mean, I wasn't heartbroken by it or anything. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's just I didn't figure you lost sleep over it, but it's one of those things when you see it after the fact, you're like, oh, well, that's not how
I wanted that to go. No,
I don't want anyone to think that.
Right.
And I knew that you're probably least likely to think that.
Right. Yeah, but then I'm like, I had my PS4 on, yes, but I was playing Cyberpunk.
Yeah. I got a bunch of Merry Christmases way after the fact, too, and then where it was too late to answer.
Yeah, that's always nice.
Because you don't want to be like on the 26th, like at 8 p.m., you don't want to be like, Merry Christmas.
That's true.
Because what's been happening is, for me personally, I'll get cell service for like 20 seconds. A bunch of messages will pop through, and then it goes away again. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's they're working on it or they're literally just turning it on to get messages through and then back off because they're setting up these mobile towers. So I don't know, but it's been an interesting time. I've been playing more video games than ever. In probably safe to say the last 4 to 5 years. Like I've been playing a lot, and
really enjoying myself. So maybe more than anything, the PS5 has kind of renewed that passion for just being on there. Because I'll be honest, the first night I played it, I couldn't even figure out how to turn it off. So I also invited someone to a chat that I didn't mean to invite them to, and then couldn't figure out how to get out of the chat or how to turn the console off. So I actually got up and went and pressed the button on the front.
Oh my Lord.
Because I didn't want them to join the party, because they're, it's a person I like, but I wasn't trying to get in a party with them.
Right.
I wasn't trying to get in a party with anybody. I'm like, how does this thing even work? I clicked on something because there's no friends tab. And so I'm like, I don't even know how to see who's online. And then I found it and I'm like, well, I don't understand what to do here. And it's like, oh, I'm starting a party. I'm like, what happened? Don't do that. Who's in this said party? And so, yeah, it's been, just being in that world and trying to figure it out. It's been kind of getting me excited to play. And it's been good. It's been I'm on vacation from work. The weather's been cold, so I'm staying inside. It's just been a pretty good setup.
It all worked out. Everything came together.
Sometimes, rarely in my life does everything work out. It seems as if everything has as of late.
Yeah, like I said, well, what I was talking about before was right now I'm playing Cyberpunk on Stadia. But there are a bunch of games that I want to play Phoenix Rising. My problem is I don't see the sense in buying it because once I'm done with Cyberpunk, I'm probably going to get the Ubisoft Plus. And it comes on Ubisoft Plus. But I kind of want to play it now.
See, I want to play it, but I want to play it on PlayStation, but I have it on Luna, so that's where I'm going to play it.
Right.
Because that's how that works.
So, I tell you, you don't think it makes a difference, but I like the fact that there are achievements on Stadia. That turns out that matters. I don't need a gun for him, I don't need to 100% anything, but I like getting that little pling.
Does Luna have? I don't know if Luna even has.
I don't think Luna does, but I don't know that. I would say not because it's more of a platform for others.
It seems like it could have. I mean, it's got a friends list and stuff.
Yeah, I guess it might. I don't know. I haven't checked and see. I haven't seen anything that said like achievements or trophies or whatever they would call them. But they are. They're kind of hard to find on Stadia for yourself. But
try achievements, Gerald.
Achievements.
I think trophies is very much a Sony's lock that up, and everyone else uses like achievements.
Yeah, I do.
You're not seeing anything, so I'm guessing it does not.
I'm guessing no. That's not to say that's not something that'll come, but
no.
I don't think they have it right now.
Yeah, but, so Stadia didn't launch with an achievement system either.
Right. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, but a certain part of my mind, and it hurts my heart a little bit, but it's kind of where I'm at. I feel like between Stadia and Luna, I could cover almost all of my needs as far as gaming goes. Between the two of them. Now, there's a few, there are some, some of the exclusives that Sony brings out that I really enjoy and am pretty, stoked about. But most of what I'm going to be looking for is going to be coming on one of those other two systems at some point. And I used to feel that way about certain things on the Microsoft side, and I did fine without them. So I'm kind of torn about where I'm at with the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and X and all that right now. In a certain sense, of course I want them because I want everything. But I almost feel like I don't really have a need for either of them right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think as cross-platform play becomes more viable for everything that's launching, people's ability to play with their friends, obviously Discord for chat, things like that. I mean, it really does come down to, can I not play the next Naughty Dog game? Can I not play,
right?
whatever, the Initiative's next game? Can I not play
Sucker
the
Punch's next game?
Forza?
Whatever.
Yeah. So can I not play those things? And if the answer is I can not play those and be fine, I mean, I think Stadia and Luna are probably your most cost-effective and easily
biggest bang for your buck, so to speak.
They're easy to maintain. They're easy to use. Like I said, no updates, always the best version. But I also like having a physical console on my shelf that I put a disc into.
Right, but I mean, and even on the flip side on the other side of that, on the software side of it, you are much more physically based than I am. The way I purchased probably 90 to 95% of my games is literally Stadia's and Amazon's business model. That's more, time efficient for me. That's more the way that I've grown to do things now. I do buy most of my games in some form or fashion digitally.
Yeah.
So, I'm in a weird place in my head right now with all this. The fact that the Luna and the Google Stadia work as good as they do for me is almost a downfall.
Yeah, I've been pretty happy with both of those services as someone who doesn't spend enough time with them. I just don't know how to balance all the time.
No, I get it.
Yeah, it's, you playing Assassin's Creed and Cyberpunk at the same time gives me anxiety. And so then you also stack in me trying to play multiple things. I just think I'm not at an age anymore where that is as good for me as it used to be. I used to love I couldn't play enough games at the same time. That makes me highly uncomfortable now.
Yeah,
because I go a week without playing something. I'm like, what do the buttons do?
I'm in a weird play. The good thing about Assassin's Creed, you can go back to that anytime. The buttons always do the same thing in all them games. It's not different. But yeah, it's a weird space in my head right now on where I'm at.
Yeah.
I feel like I want the consoles just to want them, not because I really need them to do anything with at this point.
That's how I feel about the Series X and Series S for sure. Like, I don't need that. Same thing for the PS5, but having it now is nice. But, like, I really want an Xbox, and for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a single thing right now I want it to have to play with, because I have my Xbox One and Game Pass. Like, there's not anything different. I just want it.
Yeah.
So that I can blow vape into it and hold it and
say you have it. I get it.
Sleep, beside me. So, this is our Game of the Year episode. We call it our Swellness Awards. Let's dive in. I like a cold opening as good as any. And
It's a cold opening, all right.
We'll just jump right into the awards. We don't do too many of them because everyone does awards and because I think most people don't actually give a shit. But it wouldn't be the end of the year if we didn't go over a couple things. So I think we have 6 categories that we'll go over.
We do.
I've selected my winners. Dan has selected his, and producer Gerald has selected his. We don't argue back and forth because we all like different stuff. So we'll just quickly go through these. We'd love to have your input on these 6 categories or any combination of them that you like after the fact. And I think we'll work. If you look at the list I sent out, we'll start with the second from the bottom, work our way to the second from the top, and then go all the way to the bottom. It'll make sense.
Okay.
I shouldn't have put them in this order.
Nope, works for me. I'm picking up what you're putting down, man.
Okay, so we'll start with Best Independent. And I think we'll keep the same order if it works for everybody. Dan, you go, then I'll go, then Gerald, then you go, and then I'll do the next category.
Okay. Odd one for me. My best independent game of 2020 is actually a game I didn't play. I take that back. I played about 37 seconds of it and absolutely fucking hated it. But my independent game of the year is Fall Guys. My friends list was inundated with people on playing this game. It was everywhere. It took off like you wouldn't believe. In a way I never believed. So much so that I was like, I'm not interested in this at all. Ryan talks about it. Friend of the show, Marshall Tool 5 talks about it. Pat Man talks about it. They're playing it. I got to see what it's about. 37 seconds, I was like, no, I don't like this at all. But as an independent game, it performed both critically and financially above and beyond, I think, what you've seen any independent game do this year.
Yeah, I'm going to chime in with the same answer. Mediatonic's Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, released in February. I think just what it did to the internet alone, from a team that was so small, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but you did not expect that game to take the world by storm. And the way that seeing the influence that streaming can have on the popularity of a game, I think also was something that Fall Guys maybe, Among Us also, but you saw the impact that having big-time streamers play a game, how it can change the trajectory for a game like this. And I still think Fall Guys, while it's lost a lot of its luster, is one of the standout things that happened in 2020.
No, second. Yep.
Your second, my second? Man, we got Fall Guys across the board. What's your thoughts on
the board?
What's
we
your
have
thoughts
not
on,
discussed these with each other either.
Yeah, what's your thoughts? Maybe we should switch up the order now that I think about it, because if we pick the same guys, Gerald's just going to go ditto.
Yeah, that's not fair.
So maybe we should. Yeah, maybe we should switch the order.
I just think it was neat they added the costumes, which a lot of people really love seeing packs. The idea of switching the maps, so the maps are never really the same, the way you play it, and just.
It's a battle royale party game that will, I guess, continue to evolve and get more diversity in it. And I still think Fall Guys is pretty special.
It's never a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you play it, Gerald? Did you hate it?
Yeah, Gerald's played it. I remember him talking about playing it.
I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Oh, I abhorred it.
Yeah. Friend of the show, Marshall 205, hates it too. He just plays it with me. Just to be clear. He doesn't like it either. But he does play it. Closing thoughts from anyone?
Just Fall Guys across the board, man. I mean, I think above and beyond any other independent game that came out this year, except for maybe Among Us, like you said. Among Us was a little special in a different way. I think maybe more so because some of the people who used it as a medium, is when it really took off.
Hard to decide what to do with Among Us because it's a 2-year-old game,
right?
But just as, if not more impactful than Fall Guys, as far as what it did to unite people.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So interesting.
So yeah, that's all I got.
All right, let's go to the next category.
All right.
Best narrative. And let's switch the order up just in case we don't fuck Gerald every category we do.
Yes.
So Gerald, you can go first on this, then Dan, you can go, and I'll go last.
For me, the best narrative would have to go to Ghost of Tsushima, even though I didn't play it. But the story intrigues me on it. I want to play it.
Do you plan to play it? I mean, is it on your short list?
I watched some videos of people playing it. It just looks amazing that I hear Dan talk about how good the storyline is of it. And then other people from other podcasts and other people who've played it.
Yeah. I can get behind that. Unfortunately, I can't second that. I think there was one better narrative this year. And I think that would be The Last of Us 2. I think that narrative, Ghost of Tsushima, Gerald, you're not wrong. It did have a great storyline. I don't think the storyline of Ghost of Tsushima was as deep or as impactful or as much of a commentary on the nature of humanity as The Last of Us 2 was. And that's the reason I think that narrative gets a better... That's why it's the better narrative in my mind. It's because of what it says about the actual subject matter. The funny thing about both The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2 is that it is not about these people. It is not about this zombie outbreak, this clicker outbreak. That is just a medium to tell a story about people and humans and the nature of them and the nature of mankind. And that story is absolutely amazing. So that gets my narrative. My best narrative goes to Last of Us 2.
I will second that. Naughty Dog's Last of Us Part 2 released June 19th, 2020. You know, this game got pushed because of the pandemic and everything going on. And I initially thought, and I think we probably even discussed it, couldn't be a worse time for this game to come out. And I couldn't disagree more with my statement now. I think the timing was perfect for it to come out. I think knowing just a little bit, the smallest part of kind of what some of that was, would feel like, because even though we're not anywhere close to that, it somehow seems like we're close to that.
No, yeah.
Or in parts of 2020 that we were close to that. Mm-hmm. And so, like you said, it has very little to do with really anything other than those core characters. It's not about anything else. None of that other stuff matters. Even the zombies, they don't matter. The setting doesn't matter. Really, nothing matters.
No, like I said, they're a medium to tell that story.
We have said it for years, no matter what game we were talking about, but no one seems to understand the way that characters should and do tell stories better than Naughty Dog.
Mm-hmm.
And there are levels of developers that do this, but there's not another Naughty Dog, and that's not a Sony fanboy statement. It's just the case. Let me tell you what, if Sony could figure out what makes Naughty Dog, all their studios would be banging out Last of Us.
Right.
There's something special about the way that Naughty Dog represents storytelling, and I think The Last of Us 2 is probably the best showcase that exists for that. And I love the Uncharted, and I didn't fall in love because it wasn't as easy for me to play with the first Last of Us, but there's something magical about that. I still think about going back into that world and those characters pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's it. What do we got next?
A little bit of Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima.
One of the reasons I didn't pick Last of Us because I don't know anything about Last of Us besides the trailer. Like when you guys talked about it, I took my headset off. I don't want to get spoiled on it.
Yeah.
So it's not saying that I didn't put them in my category because I don't really know nothing about them.
We're all friends. You don't have to justify your choice.
Because I'm going to have those haters.
Right. I think your choice was a fine choice, and they can suck it if they don't like it.
Well, I'm a nice guy. I don't want them to suck it.
That's a better way to say what you just said. Yeah, you do.
No.
Just a little bit?
I love our fans.
Just for a second?
The tip.
To see how it feels? Okay.
Just the tip.
The next category.
Uh-huh.
Most influential.
Great.
Now, before all the hate mail comes in for this, that can mean whatever the hell you want it to mean.
Mm-hmm.
I will just tell you, the game I picked is not changing lives. It's not, for me, it's not, I didn't treat this as a games for impact category.
Yeah.
So, Gerald, you might have, Dan, you might have, I didn't. So, I'm not a nice guy. You can suck it. Because I'm just telling you, if you will actually search for the word influential, you will see that we could go really any direction with that.
Yeah. So, Gerald, what do you got?
I went first last time. Come on.
Yeah, but we talk every episode.
All right, Ryan, what do you got?
Okay. I will kick us off with one that I guarantee you no one's going to have to second. Because I selected Astro's Playroom from Team SIE Japan Studios, released in November 12th alongside the PlayStation 5. Not for its storytelling, though I think the nostalgia stuff is super cool, but for... you asked me if it was a tech demo earlier, and I don't believe that it is, but there's no better showcase I don't know that you could, if you would ask Nintendo, who I think does the best job really showing off what their systems can do in every game they make, I don't know that there was a better way to show off the DualSense.
Okay.
I think Sony has struck gold with Astrobot, Astro's Playroom, whatever you want to call it, in a character, in an IP, in a way that I don't think they ever meant to.
And a mascot?
In a mascot, right? He's the modern-day Sackboy. And Sackboy may be the modern-day Sackboy. I don't know, because that game's excellent, too. But when you play Astro's Playroom, the packaging around, this is how this controller works, and this is how you'll use it, it seems... that's the hardest thing to do, is to do that and not make it seem forced.
Uh-huh.
And they don't make it seem forced. They make me want to do it and want to feel it. Like, I would run circles around a floor to feel the different textures as I walk. And I think that's a testament to the thought process that went behind developing a game to show off the system and the controller, while sticking to what makes those Astro games charming.
Mm-hmm.
And what feels like the best parts of those games, whether it be VR or non-VR. And I think, there's always gimmicks, right? The PSP, the back touch, we think about things like that when they came out. And you're like, oh, this is cool, and you'll never use it again. Mm-hmm. This game made me feel like, oh, these things won't go away. Because you can incorporate them in so many different ways and levels, that if you want to go all in with the controller, you can, and if you don't, there's little subtle things that you can do that I think every game will take advantage of down the road, because it doesn't make sense not to. And so, for me, I think, I think when we're talking about controllers 5 years from now, I think everyone has a controller like the DualSense. In the way the haptics are, in the way the speaker integration is, in the way the adaptive triggers feel. And I know those things have all been done, but to roll them all into one package that doesn't cost $150, I think Astro's Playroom shows you why, like, that controller won't go away. And the stuff it does probably will be in games forever in the way that you play them now.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go.
Gerald, you want to go second?
We're just going to check with you each category and see where you want to place yourself.
Right.
My most influential game for me was Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's it.
Is that it? You don't have anything to say about it?
I think it was the right way how to redo a game, or remake a game. It was different than the original, and it just looked amazing.
Look at all that stuff you had to say about it. I think I would agree with you as someone who hasn't played Final Fantasy. They just wrote the book for how to remake a game or reimagine a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they changed some aspects that need to be changed, but they maintain the heart of what made Final Fantasy VII so special, what it was. The amazing game that it was. You
immediately know, and shout out to things like Tony Hawk that also managed to do the same, but when a game loses its soul, just to look better, there's something off about it.
Right.
And I think Final Fantasy didn't even give you the whole game. It gave you the smallest portion of the game.
Right.
And people could not have been people that I know have long loved Final Fantasy and regarded as the best game. Final Fantasy VII is the best game ever made. They're in love with what they were given.
Yep.
And so I think that's a good choice.
Yeah. My choice for most influential game of 2020 is Animal Crossing. The reason being, I've spent quite a few hours in Animal Crossing, not compared to what some of my friends did. But the reason I find it the most influential is because of, and this may also be a combination of the timing of when it came out, but this game took over the media in a way you won't even understand. There were literal talk shows being produced in Animal Crossing. There were literally political candidates were using it as a platform to get across to people. They were creating their own islands. Again, a lot of this probably has to do with what 2020 was, as far as, one of the crappy years, so to speak. But I don't think you can deny the influence that Animal Crossing had on just the media in general, in every way, shape, or form. People that don't know anything about games knew of Animal Crossing. People that had never heard of the Nintendo Switch or a PlayStation, one of those Xbox PlayStations, they knew what's this Animal Crossing thing? I keep seeing it. What is it? Those were literal questions I got asked this year. I don't think you can deny the influence that had, particularly probably because of the timing. But so much was done with Animal Crossing, and it just took over the media when it came out and for quite a bit of time beyond. So for that reason, Animal Crossing is my most influential of 2020.
I won't add anything to that because I'll speak on that game.
Okay.
Soon.
Okay.
Good to fast forward, I think, right?
Yeah, I think we can go next.
So we're at this. So our game of the year, we know it as our Swellness Award, our game of the year. So we do crown a semi-chub our almost game of the year. Mm-hmm. And I will go first in this category without checking with producer Gerald, because unfortunately I did the thing that I hate, but I'm going to reuse the game here, and I did select The Last of Us Part 2 for my almost game of the year because I tried other games in this slot, and I'll just be honest with you, it didn't feel right, and I tried other games in the narrative slot, and it also didn't feel right to me. So at the end of the day, unfortunately, I am going to repeat, and I will select Last of Us 2 for my almost game of the year. And that's no disrespect to them, but I hate that I couldn't work another game into this. It just didn't feel right.
Well, oddly enough, my semi-chub, almost game of the year, second best game of the year, I'm afraid I'm going to have to follow suit and give it to Last of Us 2.
Gerald, go ahead and give this Last of Us 2, and we'll move on to the next
Last
category.
of Us 2 was a great game. Don't get me wrong. And the story it had to tell was amazing, as we've already attested to, because it was my best narrative. But to me, the game of the year is a game overall. You can't just this was great, this not quite as good. There was one game for me that did, as a whole, everything better. So for that reason, Last of Us 2 gets my semi-chub.
Mine's going to be Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Or Squadrons, so that'll be mine. Because when you guys started playing that, it got me into wanting to play other Star Wars games. So I jumped into Battlefield 2, and then my brother played Squadrons with me. I was like, okay, I'm going to have to buy this one.
I would put that on my most frustrated of 2020 list.
Yeah?
I was not good at that game.
You weren't good at it, you're right.
Yeah, so I think to steal Gerald's thunder a little bit, that game in VR, something special.
I really, really enjoyed that game.
Yep.
Really did.
I'll probably never play it again. I want to say that too.
I know, you probably never will. I will probably try to step back into it at some point, just a little bit, just to fly around and keep my bearings.
Yeah, when Gerald gets it, you should jump back into it.
I should.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, when I got that game, I went all out on going through and building up my ship and getting it just the way I wanted it. And I remember explaining to you guys, here's what you got to do. You got to do this, get this and that.
Well, I can just get it from Ryan.
Yeah.
I think everyone went all in except for me. Because Friends Show Marshall 205 was the same way. He's like, I've been watching videos on loadouts, and I'm like, who cares? This game is too hard to control. I wanted a flight stick. I think my experience is totally different if I had had a flight stick.
Possibly.
But like all things in 2020, when something hit, it was impossible to find.
Oh, yeah.
So I would still consider a flight stick down the road if I can find one that works with Squadrons and PS4, because I think I'm going to keep my headset on my PS4. Don't think I'm going to move it over to the PS5. So I'm in the market.
Fair enough.
All right. So now we're going to do the thing that I talked about. We're going to jump all the way back down to the bottom. Most anticipated game for 2021. Gerald, where would you like to go in this?
2.
Oh, you want to start? Okay. Horizon 2, I think.
Yep.
The Forbidden West?
Forbidden West. I assume that you don't need to explain that because people will understand why anyone would want to play that game.
I'm just mad I took so long to play the first
What's yours,
one.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine is Hogwarts Legacy.
What the hell is that?
The open world RPG game set in the Harry Potter universe that has been in some sort of phase of production for a very long time now.
Yeah.
But so Gerald was talking about coming to something late. Friend of the show, Marshall 205, did not even watch a Harry Potter movie till like 3 years ago. And he has become like the world's biggest Harry Potter fan now. His like game room is decked out like partially in Harry Potter stuff. And looking for a game that we could play together that has some longevity, and check some of the boxes for me, and to see his childlike excitement for this game, I think will be a good pairing. There seems to be some routine activities, which everyone knows I'm into the boring shit. So there's like going to class and learning spells, and all that will be fun to me because I like the mundane. And he just will probably be full on stiffy, full on swellness the entire time he plays that game. So I think the idea of me being, I do enjoy Harry Potter and I enjoy that atmosphere. I want something that's open world RPG that we can play together. And then the idea that, seeing him be as ecstatic as he'll be, even if we're just talking back and forth and not playing together, even if we're just talking about what we're seeing, I think it's going to be pretty fun.
Good. Both excellent choices. Mine's a little different. Kind of goes in a different direction, as a matter of fact. My most anticipated game of 2021 is Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Probably to the surprise of absolutely no one.
Yep.
Did you see this one coming, Ryan? Is that what you're telling me?
I'll be honest, not Gerald's because his list is chaos, but I probably could have hit 90, 95% on your list.
Yeah?
Yeah.
My Animal Crossing threw you, didn't it?
No, I thought you would put it somewhere.
I bet my Fall Guys threw you, though.
I thought you might actually do, almost Game of the Year, you might do Animal Crossing.
Oh.
There. Just because I know it didn't hit with you, but I knew it hit. But yeah, your list to me was not a mythical beast. I could have probably gotten most of it.
Yeah, I could have gotten most of yours too.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. This is no secret to anybody. It hasn't been for as long as I remember, as long as I've been on here. Having these games remastered is just gonna be amazing. So that's my most anticipated game of 2021.
All right. So Horizon Forbidden West, Hogwarts Legacy, and Mass Effect. What's it called?
Legendary Edition.
Legendary Edition.
Essentially the remasters.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully they do it the right way. I think we have seen remakes and reimagines that do it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they don't lose the soul of that.
Yeah, I hope they don't. I did hear that they should be making some pretty good changes to the first game, i.e. long-ass elevator rides. So that'll be nice.
I did see that. So we've got one category left, and we'll fast forward to our big award.
Yeah.
Our swellest game of the year for 2020. In what was a dumpster fire of a year, there were some standout games.
Mm-hmm.
Gerald, would you like to go first, second, or
first.
third?
So since you threw me in
okay, let's hear it.
In there. Animal Crossing.
Okay. Tell us why.
It's the game we'll probably play the most of besides a game that came out the year before. And it's kind of addictive. All the different things you can do with it. And then it's one of those ones you can play for 30 minutes and put it down and then pick it back up 30 minutes later or later on. You don't have to, it's not like missions and you can stop at any time. Just a great game.
I'd like to remind everybody to rewind back to when Dan and I were like, Gerald, you have to get this.
Remember, I ordered it. I bought.
Gerald fought Animal Crossing for a long
This
time.
game was made for you,
on the
Jeff.
show.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I
right,
do
you
remember
did.
that because you got tired of us talking.
Uh-huh.
I will
Ryan,
go.
what was yours?
I will go second because my game of the year, my Swellness game of the year, is also Animal Crossing: New Horizon. For all the reasons that I talked about for 45 episodes of this show, released in March 2020, from Nintendo Entertainment. Animal Crossing is a franchise I've loved for a long time. But this could not have hit at a better time or a worse time, however you want me to phrase that. And people needed something to do. People were stuck at home. People needed something bright and colorful that let you have a good day even if you weren't, and let you connect with people. There's something special about the different types of people who played Animal Crossing because it was literally not off limits for anyone.
Right.
Children were playing it. Grandparents were playing it. Hardcore gamers were playing it. Everyone was playing it. Somehow, in year 3 of the Switch being out, you could not find a console. You couldn't buy a Switch Lite. You couldn't buy a Switch proper. You couldn't even always find copies of Animal Crossing.
Right.
Advertisers used it. Political parties used it. Celebrities used it. Like, the way that Animal Crossing swept the world was different than the way that Among Us and the way that Fall Guys swept the world. Because I think those things, maybe Among Us a little closer, but they swept the world in like that video game pocket. Where Animal Crossing like swept the world in like the world way.
Right.
Like, it was everywhere. It's all anyone talked about. And I know there are people like that I'm around at work and other places who don't play any video games that were like, "You're not playing that Animal Crossing, are you?" And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, I scooped up a Switch and I've been playing it. I'm like, what? You don't play games?
Yeah.
And to see Animal Crossing, which is a franchise that has always been successful but has never hit like this. I mean, it's the best-selling game of the year if you take into account, I think, all the metrics.
Yeah.
And it's bananas what it's been able to do. It solidified Animal Crossing for the future of Nintendo. It will always be around now. I think it probably always was going to be, but it will very much always be around now.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
And I don't know, behind Mario and those core casts, I don't know that they place anything higher right now than Animal Crossing.
I think you might be right.
The way the updates have rolled in, the way that they have altered the original game plan because of the amount of people who were playing it, and just how fucking adorable it is. Every time I've gotten back into it really hard, and there's still something special about that game and the way that it makes me feel every time it boots up. This would be my game of the year. If I had 100 people justify 100 other games, there's nothing anyone could sway me that this was the best game for me of 2020. And Nintendo didn't mess it up when they found the success that they had, and I think it would have been easy to screw up at that point.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They kept their plan they already had. They enhanced it, but they didn't reinvent the wheel just because a lot of people were playing it. And I think it's allowed it to be successful. The one obvious knock is that your island is saved on your Switch to your Switch based on the serial number. But there are workarounds to transfer it. I don't love that, but that game is magical. And I love that it's producer Gerald's game of the year, too. Because he didn't want it, folks. Go back and listen.
Well, my Swellness game of the year 2020 is not Animal Crossing. My Swellness game of the year 2020 is Ghosts of Tsushima. For a long time, I was doing a lot of comparisons between Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. Last of Us, looks just a little bit better overall as a game. It just looks just a little bit better. Ghost of Tsushima controls a little better. But the narrative in Last of Us 2 is just a little bit better than Ghost of Tsushima's was. Those characters kind of meant just a little bit more to me than the characters in Ghost of Tsushima. And then, all of a sudden, a few months ago, Ghost of Tsushima says, "Hey, we got this co-op multiplayer mode we want to throw in here for free." And taken as a whole, that's what made the difference for me in between Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us 2. As a pure whole package, Ghost of Tsushima just offered more to me than Last of Us 2 did. Last of Us, like I said, the facial animations, the characters, they look just a little bit better. I kind of like them just a little bit more. They make me feel a little more than Jin does in Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima controls much better than Last of Us 2. So basically I had to step back and, like I said, look at both of the games as a whole package. And as a whole package, Ghost of Tsushima just offers more to me. So much more to the point that I got like 30% of the trophies on Last of Us 2. I platinumed Ghost of Tsushima before the multiplayer came out. Which tells me that I wanted to spend more time in that world, whether it was because of an emotional level or just a more fun reason, that world's much more fun to be in. I don't know. But just because of the entirety of the packages, Ghost of Tsushima is my game of the year.
That's where I would have placed that for you. I also love that that's your game of the year because he didn't want it. Go back and listen. Just a bunch of game of the years that people didn't want.
Yeah.
But I think what that game was able to do was, for lack of a better term, I think they were up against it, right? That game took a long time. I don't think that's the game people wanted out of them. Mm-hmm. And you immediately had the people saying there's inaccuracies, and they're like, "Yeah, we told you. We're not trying to make that game. This is it's not a history game.
It's not a history lesson."
And it came out, and people, obviously, it was welcomed, open arms. People loved it. Then they said, we're going to add multiplayer, and they're like, we don't need that. People don't want that. And they put it out, and people were like, oh my God, we needed this, and we wanted this.
Oh my, that multiplayer. I mean, if we had that category, that would be my best multiplayer of the year.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I would have had to done Little Hope.
Little Hope?
Yeah.
I don't know if I call that multiplayer. That's co-op.
More than one, though. Multi. But
that's how multi works.
Shout out to Sucker Punch for doing something that I think most people thought they couldn't do.
Well, I'll tell you what's funny about the two games. The two games were in that battle for me all year. Because I knew this was coming, so I'd think about it from time to time. And it's amazing. The Last of Us 2 is a world that I've already been in. Therefore, it should have been super easy for me to be drawn back into it. And it was. But not like I got drawn into the Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
Not like I was drawn into that world.
I'll throw a little gas on the fire and a little controversy. I believe The Last of Us Part 2 was the best made game of 2020. It's not my game of the year.
Best made game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
The best total package for the product that could have been delivered. It's not my game of the year. I don't think that's necessarily what that means. But for anyone that's screaming at their radio, their phone, however you listen, I agree. I think The Last of Us is probably the best game that was released in 2020. It's not my game of the year. It's really good.
Yeah,
and I think that's where you land too.
Second for me.
You know,
I think it's as a total package, it lags just behind Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. Yes.
As everything it offers. Is it better designed? Yes. Does it look better? Yes. Is that narrative better? Yes. I didn't get drawn in to the world like I did Ghost of Tsushima.
I think it would be hard for me to stand on a platform and say that Animal Crossing is a better game than The Last of Us Part 2. However, hands down 100 out of 100 times, Animal Crossing is my game of the year for what it did to me personally.
Right.
So if you are offended by the fact that we didn't choose The Last of Us, first off, we'll probably never find out. And second of all, I get it. I think that game is pretty special. And I'm sure there's games that we didn't list that are also pretty special. You know, I think Sackboy is pretty special for the time I'm having with it right now. I think Little Hope was special for the time that Dan and I had with it. Hell, I played Man of Medan with friend of the show Marshall 205 and thought that was pretty fucking special for a game that didn't come out this year.
Yeah.
You know, so I think those moments exist, and I don't think there's a wrong answer to these lists. So versus writing in or emailing or texting or however it is you contact us and being a dick face, just let us know what your games were. That's the easiest way. Instead of defending your choice, you could just let us know what your choice is.
I'll tell you, I just do want to preface, or actually add an addendum to that about Last of Us 2. As you know, I'm a sucker for, as you both the listeners and the co-hosts know, I am a sucker for narrative and storytelling. When I watch movies, I watch them like from a director's point of view. I look at the lighting. My wife gets mad at me because I can tell where a plot's going, and I say it out loud, and she gets mad. That kind of thing. So, I guess I look at like narratives and story, kind of from like a very intellectual place, which is just one way to look at it. Everybody looks at things differently. But one of my biggest problems with The Last of Us 2, that I can't keep from holding me back in my head, is that game had, two protagonists, we'll say. Right? I would say both Abby and Ellie were the protagonists. I would even venture to say that due to the first game, Ellie would be the main protagonist in that game, right? She's essentially the one we would kind of identify with.
Try not to ruin anything for Gerald here.
I'm not.
Tiptoe.
I don't think this will ruin it, but it doesn't give away a spoiler at all.
I'm putting my headphones down.
My biggest problem with that game. Okay, take your headphones off.
Also, if you don't want this spoiled and you haven't played it, you should skip forward 30 seconds probably.
It's not really going to be a spoiler, but I guess from a certain point of view,
it's going to be. I can tell it's going to be.
Well, my biggest problem with the game is that Ellie's, as a character, as a main protagonist that we care about, has no arc. She ends that game exactly the same as she starts.
Yeah. I think, I have no insight. I think that was probably done for reasons to make, I think Abby's character maybe needed that. But I won't go into it. The game's great. You should play it. Give Gerald a thumbs up. Come back, Gerald. Look up, Gerald. Look at the camera. We're sending you a signal.
So I don't know. Would you consider that a spoiler?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Just because I think if you're waiting, All right. But yeah.
I don't know if you're waiting. That game came out almost a year ago, too.
No. I didn't mean waiting that way.
Oh.
I mean, if you're in the throes of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The key to all three lists, 2020 is much of a shit show as it was. There was some good games that could take our minds off of, or maybe just maybe not take our minds off of, but maybe give us an escape from reality, if even for a little while. Not to bring the fun down, but obviously, I do want to
wish everyone, hopefully you had an okay year. It's hard to say a good year at this point. But anyone affected by everything that went on, and I don't just mean the pandemic, I mean everything that went on, because 2020 has got a list longer than our Game Awards here of shit that maybe was less than ideal that happened. So if you were affected by it in any negative way, we sympathize with you and we empathize with you, and we 2020 sucked for most people, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So we are going to cap it off with a fun end of the year celebration of the games that we love, but it's not to take away from obviously what happened. And if you were impacted directly, obviously our thoughts are with you. But these games were a nice escape for myself. I know for Dan, for Gerald, the same way. I've been escaping from shit my whole life with video games.
Me too.
It was
That's
cool.
what I use as my form of escape.
Yeah,
So
it was cool to see people who don't normally escape that way. I think that you'll really see the new consoles come into their own. You'll see things like Luna and Google really hit a stride in 2021. I think the list next year will be full of good stuff too.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. Special shout out to the people who support us over at Patreon: Thomas, Mike, and Zach. Also, special shout out to Garrett, who, like I said, he messaged me the other day. Good to hear from him.
I talked to him the other day too.
Yep. Also, if for some reason you listen to this and you try to get a hold of me and can't, I don't have any cell service. Not an asshole. So message me through the PlayStation.
Well, no, actually, two things can be true at once.
That's true. I just checked, though. I still don't have a service, and I'm still an asshole, so both things are true at once.
So, yeah, that's where I was going.
Yeah. Gerald, who's your favorite host?
My favorite host?
Of this show?
Oh, my God.
I think the producer.
Yeah, I knew he was going to pick himself. That's why I could
Producer Gerald.
That's why I could ask that question and not worry about it, because I was 100% knew he'd pick himself. I just want to make things
not only was it the easy answer, but it also avoided conflict.
It's the one that he would have chose even if it didn't avoid conflict. He was always going to pick himself.
Fair enough.
I think that's the right answer. I think you pick yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you don't have the confidence to pick yourself, then maybe you need to reevaluate.
If you don't like
doing,
yourself, then you got issues.
Yeah. Whoa, this got deep. Next week we'll discuss how you can like yourself better.
Yes.
Dan, you're going to be gone next week.
I will be gone next week. I'll be up in the mountains with no service.
So we've already established that Gerald is the best host. Now you're gone. Right. He's stepping up in a bigger role.
Yep.
I don't even know what this thing will look like going forward after that.
There might not be a reason for me to come back, folks.
And hopefully I'll be in a better mood.
Yeah.
Are you in a bad mood today?
Well, Gerald's had not a less than stellar week.
A less than stellar, yes. Christmas. You didn't even. I thought you were doing quite well hiding it.
Yeah, I didn't bring it up.
Realize you were in a bad mood.
Yeah, when someone. When you think someone should be in a bad mood and they're not, you don't bring it up. You just got to let it ride.
I didn't, but he did.
I didn't either, because I thought he was in a surprisingly good mood as well, considering.
Okay.
Well,
so it wasn't just me then.
I didn't want to be like, how you holding up? Because I
didn't
want
even think about like the awards until you sent the email last night. I was like, fuck, I got to do this. So I was up last night trying to figure out what to do. Even this morning, I was still trying to figure out what to pick because I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, shout out to me for sending the categories out midday yesterday.
And I was driving, so I didn't get until late last night.
Yeah, shout out to the preparation on that.
That's why Ryan's never the favorite host.
Yeah, that's more like production shit, if you ask me.
Oh, is that what you're going with?
I'm saying maybe some of the roles that I take on aren't the ones of the host.
Oh, okay.
But we could split hairs later. What is next week's date?
2nd.
All right, fuck 2020. Because it'll be 2021 when we start next time.
Mm-hmm.
So we can be done with that.
It will be. Actually, it might be the 3rd. Is it 2nd or the 3rd? 2nd.
It's the 3rd, I think, because I believe the 4th is.
Yeah.
Yep. Happy New Year, if that's the thing you celebrate. I'm sure most people will celebrate it this year.
People that didn't normally ring in the new year will be ringing this bastard in as hard as they can.
Without a doubt.
And not to bring anyone down, but it's probably going to feel the same for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it'll get better though.
Yeah, give it some time to get some speed up.
Got to get them wheels rolling.
Yeah, you got to get up to speed, and then hopefully downhill from there in a good way, like speed wise, not downhill is bad.
Right.
It's a bad way to have said that.
I knew what you meant.
Thanks. This has been episode 415. 415, however you like it. It's our Swellness Awards for 2020. We appreciate you hanging out with us all year long and listening, even through the hard times. You guys stuck around, and you didn't have the car rides, you didn't have the long work days where you could pop it on, and you still found ways to listen to the show. It means a lot to us, specifically Gerald, because so much goes into him being on this show as the best host and everything. The reason that patrons come to the show is because of Gerald.
Well, yeah. He spoke. Yep. Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, and so thank you to that. And finally, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Gerald, for doing this each and every week. This is one of the highlights of my week, and I appreciate you guys as well.
Oh, thank you.
Well, appreciate all you.
My mouse is dead too, so the show will just have to run forever. But for everyone else, you can cut it off here. This is 415, and we'll be back next year, same time, same place.
Good night. R.I.P. Minx.
Bye. Good night.